Hey everyone, welcome to week 36, day 5, last day of our ongoing Instead of White week. We've changed it for Letting Yellow, Bismuth Yellow, Weird Green, King's Blue. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We'll see how it goes. And remember, next week, new theme. So hope to see you guys next week. Thank you. Okay, let's get started. This is day 5. This is Friday. This is going to be our last day on our Instead of White week. And remember, what we've been doing throughout this week is not really trying to find a replacement for white. This is not about trying to find a color that will do a better job than titanium white. Because when we say that, when we phrase it like that, when we think it like that, and words are very conditioning, like our brain is going to start believing what our words are leading us to understand. If we say, well, I need a better color, I need something that's better than white, it's because we've immediately imposed a use onto that white. We've already told white what it's supposed to do, and we're not satisfied in some way with the results. We are judging white because we have traced ourselves an objective, and white is not letting us get there. So instead of judging white for what it is, that pigment for what it is, because that pigment can't be responsible for anything. You know, it's not flawed. It's not ugly in the same sense that pigments are not pretty. Pigments are just that. They are this very abstract notion of color. Although transparent yellow oxide lake, that's an ugly color. I mean, that's super objective. I think nature threw up and that's the color that came out. Every other color except that yellow is very abstract and we can't judge it. We can't just say, oh, you're not good. Oh, but you're good. When we say that, what we're actually saying, and in a way we are using this shorthand to express ourselves, but what we're saying is that when I'm trying to paint X, Y, or Z, this color, when put right next to these other colors and when mixed in this certain way and when placed in a painting surrounded by these other colors, works really well, is very effective. But that's such a very specific way of judging a color. It is crazy to then just generalize and make an opinion based on something that's highly, highly particular. On this one instance of painting, we are judging the use of a color, the universal qualities of a color. And that's just wrong. So when people say, hey, you know, white is very chalky, or don't use that white, it's very opaque, it will make your colors chalky if you're not careful. Yeah, you know, those things are just facts. I mean, when we speak about titanium white, yes, it is very opaque. Yes, it is very strong. Yes, it is very cool. Yeah, if you don't use it well, your mixes are going to speak about you not being in control. But when we use colors well, they work perfectly. You know, it's not about them doing something wrong. It's about us just not understanding them and us not putting them with the company that they deserve to be put in, and then us not taking advantage, not knowing how to take advantage of those relationships. So we have to instruct ourselves in many ways to just say, hey, I know that other people use this color in certain ways, but that knowledge can't be imposed upon me. I can learn from other people. And that's why I think that it is so, so important that we don't just have one teacher in our lives. And I'm saying this hoping that people can find the reflections that we do here on this channel useful. I hope that all of these experiences that we are going through with the painting of these paintings and the recording of these videos, I hope people really find them useful. But the first thing I would tell people is, great, you like what we're saying? Now go find another person and listen to them. You know, go find someone else and listen to them. And when you're done with them, go find someone else and listen to them. And do that so that you can gather so much knowledge that it is actually great knowledge and it is conflicting knowledge. That is the best scenario when you're learning, you know, and we never stop learning. So this is the greatest initiative that you can have throughout your life, is to understand ourselves as students. You know, what we want is to surround ourselves with incredibly talented people, and there's plenty of those in the world, and we just listen to them. And we may agree with a ton of what they're saying, or maybe we agree with a small part of what they're saying. And that's what we take and we interiorize and we say, yeah, I can actually use this information. And trust me, I don't feel bad when people say, you know what, this particular thing you said has resonance and it affected me personally. And that's what I'm going to keep. I don't care about, all the other stuff. I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. I don't get offended by any of that. If anything, I'm like, hell yes. I said 1,000 things, but you found one that is useful to you. Great. My job is done. That's incredible. This is not about you guys agreeing with me 100% of the time. That's insane. I'm not expecting that because I wouldn't expect that in life. I don't expect that with the people that I love. That would mean that the people that you love the most in your life, you don't have any discussions with. And that is crazy. That is absolutely nuts. So it is totally fine. What I beg people to do is to say, yeah, take workshops, take a ton of workshops if you can, or listen to a ton of the painters that you respect. And they're probably going to give you great information. And sometimes they're going to scramble your brain because they're going to say things that are completely opposite to the things that you thought were the basis, were the foundation of your knowledge, of your experience. And sometimes it's kind of scary when you respect somebody so much and you think that there is kinship between your painting and theirs, and suddenly you hear them talk and you go like, wait, what? What's going on here? I thought we were going to have complete empathy, but I'm not hearing the same things that I hear in my brain. And that kind of scares us. That's when we feel betrayed by our heroes. But the truth is, each one of those people that we respect, they are in their own journey. They are carving out their own path and they have to figure things out. And the things that they're figuring out and the experiences that they have are just so specific to their lives that we can't just suppose that those things are going to translate to our lives one-to-one. Their experiences all of a sudden are our own. They're not. Our job is just to be kind of empowered by them and to say, yes, I have all the energy necessary to now push myself and start my journey. Or maybe we're down and we needed some of that just to get back up and just to keep going. But we're not meant to live through other people's experiences. We're not meant to just enjoy their painting and then say, yeah, everything that you're saying, I agree with. You're my soul partner. I just have this insane connection with you. I'm going to paint the same thing. No, that is idolizing somebody and idolizing what they do. And we don't need to do that. We don't need to go that far. All we need to do is to say, wow, what you're saying is super valuable to me. And I'm going to try to take all that information and just see how I can fit it into my own experiences, to my own life. You can go into this grocery store of painters and amazing artists throughout history, and it's not bad. You don't have to feel bad. You can say, oh yeah, I don't like Andy Warhol. And people will look at you and say, oh my God, you're so ignorant. How can you not like one of the most amazing artists of the latter half of the 20th century? And you can say, yeah, I just don't like Andy Warhol. That's just my opinion. And you can be educated and you can read a lot and you can just look at a ton of paintings and say, yeah, it just doesn't do it for me. I mean, I don't need convincing. I just made up my mind and that's the person that I am. And I've formed an opinion and that's totally fine. And you can do that, throughout history. And you can say, well, from this painter, I like this. From her, I like this. From her, I like this other thing. From him, I like this, but I don't like this. And that's awesome. That is going to be your list, your list of things that eventually make up or echo your sensibility. And that's great. The exercise in trying to recognize those things and trying to understand who you are through those other painters, it's fantastic. That's what we're here for, honestly. Yes, we are here to socialize our small efforts, and we are trying to understand ourselves. What the hell is it that we're doing in this planet, and how painting is supposed to help us, aid us in understanding our place in nature. So we are going through the same things that you are going through, but we're all supposed to help each other while we're trying to figure things out. I think that that's the most amazing thing. And if for a second you don't think that painters, even the greatest painters in history, didn't get frustrated or, didn't get stressed out because they were trying to figure things out, that you think that they just sailed along merrily and they just didn't suffer, oh my God, no. Painting is tough. This particular thing that we do is so hard. It's so hard. It's never easy, and it was never easy, and it's never meant to be easy, even for the best of those people, even for the most extraordinary of painters. They struggled and they pushed through. And the thing is, some of them were just insanely blessed, and they had this ability that we can only dream of, but it doesn't matter. We can't suppose that made it so much easier for them. No, they worked as hard as any of us. All of that work is there just so we can feel like we're part of this, growing, learning experience. That's about it. That's the amazing thing. So again, when you're done listening to this video, go listen to somebody else and just learn from them. And hopefully what I'm saying is put to test and contested. And you can say, well, he did say that, but I don't agree with that. But she said this, and I'm tending to agree with her a little bit more on this. Or I like the way, she explains this color theory. Or I like the way they are treating composition. And I like the way they word it. And I like how they visually kind of explain with these cues. And I just connect with them. Or I like the way he speaks about structure. If you can find a place where you recognize where you connect with all these artists, teachers, painters, friends out there that try to speak about art, that are trying to figure out how to understand painting in particular, that's awesome. That is fantastic. That's our job, I feel. That's everyone's job. We can't just be lazy and say, I'm going to sit back and I just hope that all this information, it's hitting me like a wave and I'm done. So that is what we're trying to do during the week. We're trying to understand why we felt sometimes that a color is not behaving in a way that we thought it should behave. We came with a preconceived idea of what a color was going to be useful for, and suddenly it's not working. Ultimately, it speaks about us not being in control and not understanding. That's always going to be the case. It's never the fault of our tools. Never, ever, ever. So what we have to do is to understand why we have imposed this condition onto these tools, why we think that white is supposed to do a job. And the absence of that white has been teaching us about those uses, about those expectations that we have generated about white in our palette. And honestly, we could say that about every other color, but the thing is, white has become such a powerful color in our palette. Again, because we associate it with light. And I think that the painting of light has been ingrained onto us, throughout centuries. We understand that that's what we paint. We paint light. We are moved by light. So if we are painting light and we equate white with light, then we're always going to be kind of feeding our painting this color in a ton of ways, in a myriad of ways. So we have to understand that even though it is an incredibly important color, I would say as every other color in our palette, ultimately, we have to know when it is proper to use it and when we are not helping ourselves by using it. And hopefully, by putting it aside, our brain is saying, wow, I would have used white right now in this instance, and I don't have it, and I was obligated to use these other colors, and lo and behold, it worked. So hopefully, during these days, our brain is just kind of relearning and reshaping what we knew about color mixing and saying, hey, I have other alternatives. It's not just about mixing white all the time. So for today, we wanted to finish off with a bang, and I thought that I would do a very simple painting of VERDE, but a painting that encompasses a lot of what we've been trying during the week. So in that sense, we are going to be using the lightness, the brightness of our substrate. Our paper, it's not quite white. It's not like a brilliant white. These moleskin, I think this is a moleskin sketchbook. I'm not really sure, but they do have a tone. They do have a tone to them, so it's not going to be a very bright white. So we're going to start off with something that is off-white, something that is kind of yellower in terms of hue. We're not going to start off with that super, super bright white that we would get from, I don't know, from other types of paper. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But we are going to use that as our brightest, lightest value. So I am going to take advantage of my paper. The second thing is that I am not going to let that color, that color that is going to quote unquote replace white, replace the value of white. I'm not going to let that color just overpower all of the mixes. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but that's something that I've been doing throughout the week. And I like it, I enjoy it, but what we get when we do that is just a really color-dominant painting where, whatever color we have picked just shows up in every single mixture. I don't want to do that because I think that when we do that exercise once or twice, if we do it 10 times, we're going to start recognizing that we're doing the same thing. It's going to be like a yellow painting or a red painting or an orange painting. And those are super, super fun. But if we do it a lot, it's like we're doing the same painting all over again. And if you guys have seen what I tried to do, I mean, I do it for you guys, but I honestly do it for myself first, is that I'm always trying to push to see, okay, I've already investigated this aspect of my palette. Let me see what else is there. Let me see if there's something else that is possible within my palette because I want to investigate it and I want to experience it. That's what I love about painting. Every time it's like I turn over a big rock and I see like a whole new universe underneath. So for me, the sense of discovery, which is absolutely eternal, I feel, this just depends on me and on my outlook. And I feel that I'm going to be wondered and surprised and feel like I'm being gifted this wonderful thing that is painting if I am willing to lift up those rocks and turn them upside down. So it is up to me if I want to do the heavy lifting and all the work that is required to be every single time excited about painting. Now that I've been doing this exercise for almost 10 months in this first year of the project, I wouldn't change it for the world. I think that this is incredible. I think that this is an incredible feeling that I've tapped into. And I don't know, I want to feel like this always. I mean, I really feel that this is amazing. This is what painting is supposed to feel like. I know I shouldn't be saying that like that's what painting is supposed to be. I don't like those comments, to be honest, but in my life and the way I've experienced painting, this is how I honestly dreamt about painting feeling. And that's incredible. And it has nothing to do with the paintings that I produce. It's just about this inner feeling of painting as companion. When I see myself doing this every day, I almost see myself every single day of my life doing this. And that's amazing. And not feeling tired, because I don't tire. This is something that I think that when done properly, when there's a proper reflection that accompanies the painting, it doesn't tire you. It's not something that physically or mentally will feel like a burden, even though you are pushing yourself. But it is something that gives back to you so much while you're doing it and after you're doing it that it replenishes you. You're not exhausted. I mean, you can be physically tired, but you have learned so much and you can gather so much from it that, you're like, okay, I want to do this again tomorrow. Like, I'm super excited to try things out tomorrow. So it's incredible. And by trying things out, and let's get to the to this particular painting, I used a horrible color. I mean, I wanted to talk a lot just so that you guys could see this color in action. If I go to a store and I walk through these beautiful aisles of all these gorgeous tubes of oil paint just hanging there, I would never stop at this particular color and say, oh my God, I need you. I mean, this is the color of Scrubs. I just associated that color with just a hospital from like a horror movie or something. So I don't know. I think that 100 out of 100 times I would see this color and I would just say, pass. No, I don't need it. No, thank you. This color in particular is Titan, which is a Spanish brand. I think it's from Catalonia. I think it's from Barcelona. So it's a very good brand. It's a really nice brand of paint. And this particular color is called Compound Green. Compound Green. I mean, that's a horrible name. It's a horrible color and it's a horrible name, so it's fitting. And by compound green, it means that it's mixed. It's a pre-mixed green. So we went from really nice pigments. I mean, we went from one of the nicest pigments in history with that lead tin yellow, then to a very nice bismuth yellow, then to a really weird but very cool azo green gold. And then we went to, and let's use today's name. We went to a compound color also, which is a King's Blue, which is pretty much basically traditionally just titanium white and cobalt blue pre-mixed. And now we have a compound green, which is, I'm going to read it, but I think it's ridiculous. So it's a PG7, so pigment green 7. It's a PW6, so that's titanium white. And it's a PY35, pigment yellow 35. So basically we have a green, a yellow, and a white. So that's terrible. I mean, if a color is going to be 3 colors, we might as well mix it. We can't be that lazy. We can't have somebody just mix 3 colors and then sell it to us in a tube. Come on, we could do that. But today I was looking through old paint that I had and I was like, okay, I'm going to use this. This is not going to be like that, transparent yellow lake oxide that I make fun of. But I was like, I'm going to use you. And immediately I was like, yeah, we're not connecting, but I can use you. Like, I am going to do a painting with you. Today's color, I was like, oh, forget it. Good night. That is it. We're done. It is a one-time painting. This is the only time I'm ever going to use this color, I think. I mean, I never say never, right? But honestly, compound green, we could say never again. So I think I was trying to make the best of it. I did a really simple painting. I don't know. It was so blah that I was like, okay, if I'm totally disconnected with this color, let's just disconnect the whole of the painting. Let's just disconnect this color, this massive color, against the underpainting, washy, color that is going to be up top, that is going to be more umber. Then VERDE's face, the portrait, is going to be all this green. Then her neck is going to be a very transparent kind of dirty-ish cad red. And then her shirt is going to be my cobalt ultramarine. So it's just going to be like boom, 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 boom. Like these 4 colors. It's like we don't want to have anything to do with each other. We are just 4 different hues, 4 different things. And let's see if a painting can kind of survive, with all the separation that's within that painting. And I thought that the way to do it, the way to try and maintain all these colors separate, very dissonant colors, by the way, yet try to find a way to have them coexist in this tiny little painting, was just to say, okay, some of the green, a tiny bit of the green, just the brushstroke that is dragged across the upper part is also going to be part of that umber underpainting. So they are going to touch there and they're going to be like, okay, we can tolerate each other. And then some of that red, when mixed with that green, is going to make this very kind of muted, dirty gray that I'm going to use to speak about the specific moments of drawing within VERDE's portrait. So it's not quite the same thing that we did yesterday's with Samu's profile, where that red was just this really beautiful, strange accent that was helping me, yes, generate a relationship with King's Blue, but it was also helping me draw out the features. No, the features today are going to be almost blocked in, but there's going to be a presence of the red that's about to come in, in that neck. So it's almost like preparing you for that next color. So that red that is not going to be super strong because we are painting it, in a very transparent fashion, that cad red, it's there, but we have hints of it that are preparing us so that we are not shocked when we see it. And then that blue is honestly just this darker mass that we needed to ground the painting, in the lower part. But there's even like a brushstroke of red just coming across as a shadow, like a thicker, more opaque brushstroke of cad red that is playing the role of a tiny little bit of cast shadow. And that is preparing us for that blue. So there's this very rational separation of those 4 moments. Again, the umberish, transparent underpainting that is constructing that beanie. Then the green, horrible green, that is in charge of the whole of the portrait, even coming down the neck. And then parts of the neck and her chest, her upper chest, is going to be that transparent red. And then we get that blue. So it's going to be umber, green, red, blue. There's nothing smooth about those transitions. But there's always going to be these tiny little moments, very small, very subtle, within each of those segments of the painting within those stages of the painting where one color is going to affect the one that came before it, and it's preparing us for that transition. So that was the challenge in this painting. Very, very subtle, very cool, I think. It's a very nice exercise. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be weird. This is a color that I don't like, but I have to make it work. I can't afford just saying I don't like it and then feeling proud because my painting is a testament of me not liking the color. And I could blame my painting. See, I thought the color was horrible, so my painting is horrible. No, that's not good. That's not good enough for us. We have to say, I thought the color was horrible, and I had an awesome time, and I had a very challenging time making this painting, and I'm very satisfied with the result. That's what we're supposed to say, and that's a completely different mentality. To do that, the first time we use a color, and on that first painting, oof, that's tough. That is always going to be tough, because we have to be super quick on our feet, and we have to make, really bold decisions and hope, cross our fingers that those decisions are going to stick and they're going to work. And that usually doesn't happen. That's super tough. So, sometimes the painting's going to be a disaster, but we gave it our best. But I thought today that was really challenging, but I loved it. And this, on a more personal note, I just really, really liked the painting of Samu and the painting of VERDE. I love seeing those two paintings together. They're so strong and weird and powerful that they just make me feel like, yeah, that's my children's energy there. They are portraits of my children, but it's just like their raw energy is there, and I love that. I love when color can do that. So that was it for this week. It was a strange week. It was awesome, and it's actually very empowering because for next week, we have a whole new theme, and the last two paintings, the painting of Samu, even the painting that I did with that green gold, from that painting on, I felt like, wow, I should try to construct paintings in ways that I'm not accustomed to. So for next week, I'm going to do something that I don't do. I don't do at all. Instead of just doing that, I'm going to challenge myself even more, and I'm going to put some hurdles in my way, and I think it's going to be super, super cool. But that's going to be next week. As we always say on Fridays, Danny and I thank you as always. And again, you guys are all invited. Next week, new theme, so we'll see you then. Bye.